Help give kids an extra life by donating today to help sick and injured children. Link in the description and pinned comment below.
No, I don't have a Santa hat. Kinda wish I did, though.
Well, let me start by saying Merry Christmas to all of you. And if you're Jewish, well, Happy Hanukkah, or Happy Kwanzaa if you celebrate that, and if you don't, well, Happy Holidays anyway. I just want to make sure I wasn't leaving anyone out. P.S. If you're celebrating a different holiday that I don't know about, feel free to politely leave it in the comments. Anyway, this is the final QG at the arcade of my second year of doing this kind of video alongside my countdowns, and I wanted to pick an appropriate game. But surprisingly, Christmas-themed arcade games are like honest politicians. They're almost impossible to find. There are some winter-themed ones like Snow Brothers, and there are some Christmas-themed games on consoles like Christmas Nights and Santa Claus Saves the Earth. But then my friend Black Mage Maverick, God bless him, reminded me that there was an arcade game based on the immortal Christmas classic, Die Hard. Now there are two kinds of people in the world, those that say that Die Hard is a Christmas movie, and those who are wrong about film. So, in the spirit of the holiday season, I'm going to treat you guys to a tale of my experience with Die Hard Arcade, as well as the two games that followed it. Even though the fact that it's a series may not be as obvious as the fact that the Santa of them all is... Oh, wait, I almost exposed sensitive information there. Whew. So let's start with how the game happened. Over the years, Sega has used a multitude of different arcade boards. The board that Sega used for Die Hard Arcade was the STV board. I've already covered one game that's used the STV board, that being Golden Axe The Duel. While it was based on the Saturn's architecture, it was a bit underpowered when compared to the Model 2 board, which hosted games like Virtua Fighter 2 and The House of the Dead. In fact, part of the reason Die Hard Arcade was developed was because Sega had a surplus of STV boards and nothing to do with the damn things. They had also acquired the licensing rights to make Die Hard video games in America, but didn't have a game in the pipe to make use of the license. So, Sega's AM1 Studio, one of Sega's most prolific divisions, and the US-based Sega Technical Institute collaborated on the project, with AM1 providing the engineering, STI chipping in the animation, and both studios working together on the art and design. It was developed simultaneously for the STV and the Saturn, which makes sense. After all, if your arcade board is based on the architecture of your console, porting it shouldn't be that die-hard. Originally planned to be a 2D brawler, the decision was made late in development to change it into a 3D beat-em-up. So, kinda like Streets of Rage with polygons. Which reminds me, how come Streets of Rage was never in arcades? You'd think a beat-em-up like that would be perfect for the arcade. Anyways, Die Hard Arcade was released in arcades in 1996, published in cooperation with Fox Interactive, with the Saturn version releasing in North America and Europe in February of 1997, about a month after the Japanese home release. Of course, Sega didn't have the Japanese rights to Die Hard, so they renamed some elements and gave it the title of Dynamite Deka, which would name the series in Japan going forward. Why Japan had separate rights for the movie license, I'll never know. Fun fact, the Saturn port included a port of one of their super fossilized arcade games called Deep Scan. You could earn extra continues by playing it. Sega had a lot of arcade games. So the plot of the game is delivered over police radio in the attract mode. Already you can tell this is a product of its time for... reasons. So we got terrorists led by this old guy named Wolf Hongo, who looks absolutely nothing like Hans Gruber, who have taken hostages in this office building, one of whom is the daughter of an unnamed president, and oh my god does her model show how dated this is. You play as either John McClane or generic police lady Chris Thompson, renamed to Bruno Dellinger and Cindy Holiday in Japan respectively. And the action begins as soon as you drop down on the roof and escape a firefight to reach the deck below. Like I said, this is a 3D beat-em-up. However, unlike 2D beat-em-ups like Streets of Rage, you're just clearing out rooms of enemies with brief cutscenes to move from one room to the next. The controls are simple, 8-way movement, and 3 buttons for punch, kick, and jump, with combos, grabs, and throws. You can also pick up all manner of weapons, both melee and firearms, which you can use as long as you don't take too much damage. Something about smacking terrorists with a broom is so satisfying. So after the second room, you're introduced to the game's QuickTime events. Yep, they've been around since long before the term had a name. Look at Dragon's Lair. Succeed the QTE, and you regain some health with a sweet camera shot. Fail, and you either take damage in an admittedly hilarious way, or have to deal with extra enemies. So the third room further hammers home how bonkers this game can get. There's a grandfather clock and a missile launcher in this room, and they're both usable weapons. Imagine if McClane could just grab a big old clock and smash the terrorists' faces in. This is also where you face the first boss, this big old biker dude. Kick his butt, hop into the elevator, and cutscene. Area 2 is in the parking lot, and...
Wait, so we go from near the roof, where the big boss is likely to be, to the parking lot. Now that sounds hella inconvenient.
And we notice a bit of attention to detail on how McClane's lost his jacket. Nice touch there. And this is where I found out that if you get pinned down, you can escape or even reverse your situation if you react quickly enough. Too bad my health was low and I had to use continue. Yeah, you have one life in this game. So after dealing with these guys, then some guys in fireman suits and an actual fire truck interfering, next QTE leads to the bathroom where...
Oh, fuck, that's an anti-tank rifle.
Oh, fuck, that's an anti-tank rifle!
And suddenly, robots. Funny, those were never in the movie. One definite problem I noticed while playing is that you can only punch straight left or straight right. Maybe that made sense in Streets of Rage, but this is a 3D beat-em-up. Kinda gotta make use of that third dimension, you know. Anyways, after the robots, we have another cutscene where Hongo's trying to bust open a safe, and the president's daughter is hiding in the desk. So now we're in the lobby, and the goons now include the boss's personal security, as well as some rather vicious ladies who fight you by the fountain. One thing of note, get away from enemies that beg for mercy. It's a trick. So once you get clear of them, you take on some luchador dude, and wow, bad guys are actually blocking for once. So we take care of this guy, and the bad guys manage to open the vault as a radio falls near the girl. Making our way to the roof, we see that McClane's now barefoot and his clothes are in tatters. Because it wouldn't be Die Hard if McClane's feet weren't killing him. So we have this annoying satellite dish to deal with as we take out a couple of goons, followed by a couple more robots. As the bad guys make off with the money, we drop into the penthouse suite. Those table settings are so 80s. Our progress is interrupted by one tubby guy, then another, at which point we hear the president's daughter calling for help.
Ah, so the cat has found the mouse.
Yeah, that's not good. The voice acting's not that good either.
So now we have a sequence where we're climbing an elevator shaft and tapping the joystick to dodge falling cars. Or trying to, anyway. So after the president's daughter gets spotted, you begin the final approach to the president's office. The only thing standing between you and that destination is a hallway, a couple of QuickTime events, and one last bunch of goons, including fake firemen. The last of those guys is boss level, blocks a ton, and is capable of spamming grenades. Of course, employing 80s action flick logic, you're able to take him down and confront Hongo.
This whole building will explode in 5 minutes. But you won't live to see it anyway! Ha 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 ha!
5 minutes.
Yeah, as you can imagine, you have roughly DBZ time here.
And it's a good thing too, because, well, I have a confession to make. I'm not that good at beat-em-ups. Why? Because I try to go ham way too often. And in case my repeated deaths didn't make it obvious, that does not work against Hongo. For one thing, he blocks like crazy and reacts with a low spin kick that takes advantage of your cooldown frames, can make the furniture in the room pop out in order to smack you, can flip jump over you, and the standard issue hits like a truck that most final bosses have. And 2, he has a crap ton of health. Good thing there are golf clubs in the room, and that's unfortunately just phase 1. After getting a beatdown, he grabs the girl and makes for the roof. And he brought knives this time. And they hurt. Son of a bitch can even block bullets. But eventually, you take him down for good.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
By the way, if you have 2 players here, you fight each other for the honor of being the girl's bodyguard. Yeah, remember Double Dragon? I hope the pay's really good. So, Die Hard Arcade. Despite some things about the game that are obviously dated, I enjoyed most of it. The gameplay was mostly solid, save for only being able to attack left and right from my experience. The QuickTime events give you enough notice so that you're not taken by surprise. The items offer plenty of variety. The soundtrack works for the 80s action flick vibe it's going for, and the combat offers up plenty of moves, even though I only used a few of them. I didn't look up a guide. While the models are dated, for their time they were pretty sharp. To its credit, it's probably one of the better games based on Die Hard. Not that we have much of a high bar for that. Unfortunately, this was STI's last project before they folded. Guess they decided to, screw it, I made that pun already. That being said, I figure the Die Hard license must have quickly expired for Sega after that one, since the sequel, Dynamite Cop, dropped the movie moniker entirely. Released in 1998 in arcades, Dynamite Cop, known as Dynamite Deka 2 in Japan, was developed on the Model 2 board, which, as a little bit of trivia, was created in collaboration with Lockheed Martin, a US defense contractor. I'm sorry, what? The plot is similar, same enemy leader, same president's daughter being one of the hostages. You know, maybe McClane should have taken her up on the bodyguard job. So, having dropped the Die Hard license, the three main characters follow the Dynamite Deka line. Well, at least Bruno does, and he still looks like McClane. The other two playable characters are Gene Ivy and Eddie Brown, though you can unlock secret characters in the Dreamcast version. So Hongo is back and he's become a cyborg, because there's no better way to plan for your revenge than by painfully modifying your body. He's also taken an entire cruise ship hostage, and now our cops have to save the day. There are actually 3 routes you can take, with each one changing how you go about your mission. You can approach from above, go up the side of the ship, or approach from underwater. For getting footage for this game, I took the first option, so a parachute drop is our plan. On the first screen of bad guys, I already noticed a difference in that I can actually attack diagonally in this game, so that's already a massive improvement. It actually feels 3D now. One of the new items shows up in this first screen, a power-up icon. Pick up 5 of them, and you enter a super mode where you're capable of more combos and do more damage. After that, you drop into the ship's club, and nobody's hands go up, even though you're a cop. Fun fact, the Blast City cabinet in the room is a reference to a line of arcade cabinets that Sega actually made. Speaking of which, Sega, I am once again asking for you to localize the Astro City Mini. Do you realize how much money you're leaving on the table? I'm trying to avoid going on Amazon! So the game does something impressive between this room and the next, by making succeeding QuickTime events look more awesome than the first game. The next sequence is on the pool deck, where the first bosses are. That would be a weird thing to explain to your significant other. How was your evening, honey? Oh, it was nice, relaxing by the pool, having a swim, kicking terrorist ass. Here you can pick up such outlandish weapons like a laser gun and an anti-ship missile! Seriously, my suspension of disbelief broke for a moment there. Not only did that not destroy the ship, but everyone's still alive at this point. As for the cutscene, yikes, the emulator was not kind of this game. So now we're in the ship's main decks, and I guess an apple a day keeps the pirates away. So next we go from a hair salon where we take a little off the top of some terrorist faces, and into the dining hall where we can use the stalest baguette ever as a weapon. And here the clothing damage comes back, and this time it's proportional to the damage you've taken. The boss fight takes place against an Iron Chef wannabe in the kitchen, followed by...
Never mind. It's time.
Well, that just happened.
So Stage 3 has us escaping through the lower decks, taking out crooks in the storage hold, fighting through a meat freezer swinging giant slabs of beef to smack weirdos wearing crabs on their backs, as one does, followed by... Wow, I need to see the actual arcade cabinet. The actual game can't look that freaky, right? So next we find ourselves in the engine room, and after dealing with the thugs there, and somehow not causing more damage to the ship than the pirates themselves, suddenly, Kraken. Not a pirate, just a Kraken, straight out of nowhere. Okay, that's random as hell. So you beat it up with a wrench and a... water gun. Not a water cannon, a water gun. Yeah. So the bad guys make a break for it on a boat, and you're stuck swimming in full gear, having to dodge boats coming from behind you. Okay! Eventually you reach their hideout. At least I think it's their hideout. I mean, there are a lot of islands with evil-looking skull formations, so I guess I might be wrong? Nope! Exotic animals in cages, this is definitely the villain's hideout. So you beat up the first line of defense, escape some pursuers, and drop straight into Edgar Allan Poe to face some guys who look stereotyped as shit and... What? Tell me how these guys split into multiple copies.
Lots of me.
So we fight our way out of the pit and deal with some more stereotype dudes and... Pepper? We use pepper as a... Well, it's sillier than pepper spray, so I can live with that. So we make our way to the pirate ship, deal with more of the...
Lots of me.
And help the captain, except he's not the captain, but a faker who we have to take out. And waiting just up above is Hongo himself. He's not as block-happy as his previous fight, but he's definitely more aggressive and much more well-armed. He has a sword, a claw, a teleport, and a laser blaster. At this point, it's a war of attrition, but it's satisfying to take him down.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
And once it's over...
Thank you for saving my life again.
Yeah, I didn't need sleep tonight. So Dynamite Cop really did feel like an improvement over Die Hard Arcade. The improved technology really helped in terms of presentation, including better graphics, improved music, and a better feel. And the control and combat was definitely improved. But probably the best part of Dynamite Cop was that it doubled down on the action flick silliness, and doesn't take itself seriously at all. AM1 really must have had fun making this one. And if that's the case, then Sega must have had an absolute blast with the last game on our roster. This is Dynamite Deka EX, Asian Dynamite. More simply, Asian Dynamite in the few territories outside Japan that saw this game. Of the three, it's the only one that didn't get a US release or even a release outside of arcades. Released in 2007 on Sega's Naomi arcade board, this one was developed by Sega's Shanghai division, which explains the whole Asian angle they took with this one. So the plot is that Hongo's gang, Asian Dusk, have attacked several Asian countries, kidnapped another president's daughter, occupied a tower in the capital, and commandeered a ship which is transporting missiles. So Bruno is back to deal with them, this time accompanied by Jennifer Genuine and Carolyn Powell, who's apparently the daughter from the original, now grown up. Hey, a girl gets tired of being a damsel in distress. Guess she wanted to get some payback. Once again, there are 3 routes to take, and once again, I took Route 1. One thing I noticed soon after I started was the briefcases. These contain a variety of disguises. These include, but are not limited to, a Rambo wannabe named Skull Hunter, a martial artist named Blue Lee, and a wrestler named King Khan. Each one comes with a weapon equipped, but can only take so much damage before they break. There are also these little puzzle pieces that unlock illustrations during the credits. But as I played, things felt a little familiar. And not just the gameplay. Then after stage 2, it hit me.
It's time.
That's right, Asian Dynamite isn't a sequel to Dynamite Cop, but a straight-up remake. The placement of set pieces, the way the cutscenes are set up, the setup of QTEs, this is pretty much a shot-for-shot remake of Dynamite Cop with an Asian coat of paint. And somehow it's even sillier than the game it remade, and not just from the disguises. The enemies and weapons are goofier than ever. I mean, the game was still fun and satisfying to play, but now I'm beginning to get why they slapped the EX label on it instead of another number. And it being a remake means I don't have to detail my playthrough again. Don't want to go through the same shit twice. That being said, as a remake, it did do a good job. So we have a series that started as a tie-in to a Christmas movie, and became a series that feels like a loving parody of the action flicks of the 80s after the license dropped. As the gameplay got refined and things got goofier, it managed to be one of Sega's hidden gems. And like Golden Axe, it's a franchise that remains hidden in Sega's vault, and Bruno has even made an appearance in Project Cross Zone. However, I doubt Sega currently would have any plans to make a new game in this series anytime soon for a couple of reasons. The first is that for stylish and silly beat-em-ups, as well as serious crime dramas, the Yakuza series has long since established itself as Sega's representative in the genre. That franchise is more popular than ever and shows no signs of slowing down. Not to mention, a new entry in the Dynamite Deka series would have to do quite a bit of work to not be seen as another Yakuza clone. And the second is the current social climate. For lack of better wording, what made these games a product of their time might lead to backlash if a new game in the series were to happen. And given that Sega's various divisions were affected by the pandemic, well, that might not be a risk worth taking.
And with that, another year comes to a close. I hope you've enjoyed my Christmas gift to all of you. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, well, giving is in the spirit of the season anyway. That's why I've made sure to check some of my friends' wish lists on Steam. I'm the Quarter Guy, and until next time, Merry Christmas to all, and yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker!